Good evening, y'all. Oh, this kind of spur of the moment. I didn't know I was going to do this right now anyway. I knew I was going to do it, but I didn't know I was going to do it right now. Anyway, what I figure I could do is I can do these videos, and then I can, if I record them like this, there's a way to do YouTube live, but I'm never, kind of nervous about trying it. So I think I'll give it a shot the next time, but I didn't this time because, like I say, I didn't know I was going to do this right now, but I do what I'm told when I'm told. So I appreciate y'all joining me. Anyway, this past Sunday at church up at Set Free, Pastor Marty was talking about talking about the story of the Jesus going up to the Samaritan woman and asking her for a drink of water, and telling her about the living water, and Pastor Marty was talking about the living water, and the fountains flowing forth from us. And he started talking about a lot of people dam up the fountains coming. When you receive Jesus is living water, and that the love that you feel, and the new life, the new man that you become, you feel the love, you feel the joy, and you can't contain that. It comes forth from you, and then you want to spread the word. You want to spread the message of the gospel of Christ. You want to spread that, so it becomes a fountain flowing from you also, if I'm making any sense. And he was talking about how people become bitter, and people unforgiveness and whatnot. Things get in their way. People get on our nerves, and we end up damming up that fountain flowing from us, and so our water becomes stagnant and stank, is what he called it. Stank. Oh, stanky water. And right when he said that, I could feel the Spirit run over me like it's like a cocaine rush from back in the days, back when I was living like that. It's like I could feel the hair stand up on my head, and that's pretty odd considering I'm bald. Anyway, so I wrote down what came to me, and what came to me was parasites. The word parasites. You see, a lot of people don't mind stank. A lot of people don't realize that they're stinking. Some people don't know. Oh, it just happens over time, and they never can smell it themselves. And sometimes water looks clean when it really isn't, and that's when it's most dangerous. Everybody knows to stay away from stinky water, right? Everybody knows to stay away from stinky water. But sometimes that water looks so clean. It looks so pure. You just want to take a drink right out of it. How many knows? How many knows? Maybe back in the day you could, but these days you better not. No matter how clean and pure that water looks, you better process that water first, huh? See, what I'm talking about is a lot of church-going people are mean. I'm sure that's popular. I'm sure I'll probably be popular in the morning. But that's just a fact. A lot of church-going people are mean. A lot of church-going people are bitter, and they don't even realize it. They're putting on this, image of being Mr. Upright and Upstanding, and I am a Christian. I am in church every Sunday. But when in reality, I've met some church-going people that are some of the most vicious people on the face of this planet. And when Pastor Marty was talking about the stagnant water and the stink, I was sitting there and the Spirit was dealing with me, and I was trying to write it down and pay attention to Pastor Marty at the same time because they coincided. See, a lot of churchgoers they don't realize that over time they become bitter. They started thinking a whole lot of themselves. They got proud. Paul talks about being proud in the New Testament, and over time they don't realize that they're starting to get a little odor to them. They're starting to smell. They can't smell it themselves, but other people can. I could certainly smell it when I was growing up, and even more so once I was grown. I told you before that I grew up in church, and even though we had our share of good times in that church, there was a whole lot of crookedness going on. There was a whole lot of sin going on in that church. A lot of things that wasn't right. But, I tried to go back later as an adult. I tried to go back. And, the pastor there wouldn't even shake my hand. I stood there with my hand out trying to shake his hand. He wouldn't even look at me. He stood there. It reminded me of in the Bible they were talking about stiff necks. You have to forgive me. I didn't write down none of the scriptures because, like I say, I didn't know I was going to do this. I do it when I'm told. Every time I've tried to put it together and tried to plan when and exactly when and what time and all that, and I tell all you guys about it, all of a sudden disaster strikes of some sort or other. Last time, Miss Kay's little boy got his arm broken. I set my beard on fire nearly, and just every time, it seems like every time I tell you, oh, I'm going out live at 9 o'clock, then disaster will surely strike. So, so this time it's just spur of the moment. Just, about a half hour ago, I started taking my notes. I did take notes. Anyway, let's get back to the subject here. Anyway, over time, they become bitter and start thinking a lot of themselves, and they don't even realize it, that they become proud and just plain mean. And the thing is, that's fine. Like I say, some people don't mind that they smell. Some people don't mind, and some people don't even know. And they, in their minds, hey, that's fine. But there's something that lives in stagnant water, isn't there? There's parasites. And just like I was told while Pastor Marty was preaching, and he was talking about the stagnant water, there's parasites in stagnant water. You might think you're not hurting anybody with the way that you are, but you could. You could infect people with parasites that eat at their souls, the way leprosy eats at somebody's body and slowly rots them. Parasites will do the same thing coming from your stagnant water. What I mean is, take for instance, like I say, I tried to go back to that church that I grew up in, and the pastor wouldn't even shake my hand. He wouldn't even look at me. He stood there all stiff, ignoring me. And I knew, I was standing right there, right in front of him, and he refused to even look at me. When I was growing up, I think I just got out of the Army, and I tried to go to a couple different churches. I went to a church down in Upson County, and the preacher come up and said, "You remind me of somebody I used to know." And it was the devil. I was like, thanks, brother. And then later on, I went up and tried out a church in Dahlonega. And now, granted, I didn't have the best haircut for Dahlonega. So what? I had a mohawk. And I had it pulled back in a ponytail. Not a man bun, a ponytail. There's a difference. Anyway, but the first thing that happens is that preacher gets up there behind his pulpit and he leans over it and he looks at me and says, "I sure do like the way North Georgia College cuts that hair." And he gave me the stare of death. And I was like, see, those are people that they go to church on Sunday And instead of bathing in the fullness of it and bathing their entire body, what they're doing is taking an old sink bath. There's a word for sink baths that I'm not gonna say. You know what it is, and that's terrible. You shouldn't think that way. Anyway, they missing a few parts. You know what I mean? They ain't washing behind them ears. They ain't getting the back of that neck. You know, they ain't washing under their beard. They're missing a few parts. They're missing the part about being kind. They're missing the parts about love and not being so proud and humbleness and you know, they're missing some key parts there. Loving people that, you know, don't go to your church every Sunday. People that are coming maybe looking for God and unable to find it because of mean and hateful people inside the church. Parasites, full of parasites. See, those people look like they're clean. They give the appearance of being pure, clear water, a beautiful living fountain, you know. They give off that appearance, but how many people know that sometimes there's a stream out there and it looks so beautiful and you just want to drink out of it, but that thing is slap full of microbes, little microscopic monsters that can just destroy your innards and wreck your soul and cause people to turn away from the church and things of that nature. You know, the more that you get like that, and the more that they don't even realize it, the worse it gets. You know, so actually, as bad as I hate to say it, some of the older folks are some of the worst. But hey, that's the way it is. That's what I'm saying. It's happened so slowly and over time that you don't realize you become a bitter old man. I really don't want to be a bitter old man, but you know, when you do that, then you know, a visitor could be coming to that church. People are watching, man. When you're slipping up and you know, ain't nothing going unnoticed. Ain't nothing going unnoticed. If you're mean to somebody that's come to church, you need to check your heart. You know, people don't realize that God doesn't hate hateful people. God doesn't like hateful people, man. That's you're turning people away when other people look at that. You've infected them with a parasite now. And I'll give you an example. When me and some of the guys from my club had collected some clothes for people, you know, in need, and we had took them up to a church to donate them, and you know, so that people could get to them. First off, we pulled up, you know, and of course, you know, I was on a motorcycle, and you know, I don't look like a clear stream, you know, so to speak. But anyway, I pull up in the parking lot, and the place is really crowded. I didn't know where to go, and so I pulled up to some guys that were wearing vests. You know, they had road guard vests on, green and shiny and bright. So I was like, they know where to go. So I pulled up and I shut off my bike so that wouldn't bother them, trying to be polite. And they wasn't very. I don't want to say they. There was a few of them standing there, but only one stood out particularly as bitter. He was just a bitter fella, man. I was like, hey, y'all got a crowd here, like, you know, and he's like, and I was like, well, look, we got some. I could tell he didn't want to talk to me, so I was like, we got some donations, man. We want to drop off some donations. We got some clothes. He's like, what do you mean some donations? I was like, we got some clothes, man. We want to drop off. Well, you're gonna have to take him down yonder. You know, he was all like, look, man, I've never been here before. I want to help out. I want to donate some clothes to some people. This is a food bank. This is a clothing bank. I brought some to help out. You know, and what do I get? I get, you're going to have to take him down yonder. Okay. So, sure enough, I parked my bike, and my buddy, my club brother, he backs his car down to where they told us to go, and we couldn't even get the things out of the car for people. Y'all gonna have to move now. You're gonna have to let me out. I was like, man, this place is just not friendly, is it? And there were a few friendly people, but not most of them. The majority were bitter people. Well, see, that put a little parasite in me to where I spent the rest of the day thinking, man, we went up there to try to help out, and these people were, snooty towards us. That put a little parasite in me. You see what I'm saying? You see how quickly, and I love the Lord, but still, I'd let my guard down, and I took a drink of what I thought was clear, clean water, and ended up with a parasite eating at me the rest of the day. Most of the rest of the day, I ended up with a little parasite, and I know better. Imagine somebody that doesn't. Imagine somebody just trying to come to the Lord. Imagine the damage that things like that do. That's what I'm talking about. You're talking about you going from microbes to giant tapeworms that just eat at a man's heart and cause bitterness in there, and then they're dammed up and stagnant, and it's your fault, man. And you'll pay for it too. The Lord will get you for that. And that's the good thing about it, because our God is an all-consuming fire. You see what I'm going? You see what I'm saying here? Our God is a consuming fire. So what is he able to do? You ever watch them survivor shows when they're going through the jungle and they're trying to find some fresh water, and they can't find none? All they can find is some dirty water, or they do find some and it looks real clean, but they ain't gonna drink it. What do? They boil it first. See, let me tell you about where I got boiled at. It's later on that very evening, we had collected some luggage, some suitcases that another church was collecting to donate to foster kids, so that they don't have to carry their things around in garbage bags. You know what I mean? So we had take some down there. Now those people were just as friendly as they could be. They were very nice. They're very grateful, and God is really good. So that God was taking that little parasite that had been planted in me and that I'd been infected with, and I got down there to a real church, to where people are sure enough about Jesus, and not so much about how you look or the fact that you're on a motorcycle or whatnot. No, there was some real true-to-life Christians down there that wasn't playing and wasn't just taking their little sink baths on Sunday. There were some really good-hearted people down there, and that little flame inside stoked up the fire and boiled that water for them and boiled those parasites right on out of there. Our God is great like that. But you got to reach out. See, that's the thing. In order to purify your water, in order to boil those parasites out, you got to stay close to the flame, don't you? You dig? The further we get away from the flame, the more apt we are to be infected with parasites, ain't we? We got to stay close to God, people. You got to put that armor on. You got to make sure when you see something like that, you got to know that that's not the drinking water. That water's not been purified when you see something like that. If you try to go to a church and the people are not friendly to you, go to another one. Don't let people stop you from worshiping the Lord. Don't let people. If you're in a church and somebody there has made you mad and you leave the church, you need to think about a few things. Is that whole church that way? If it is, leave. But are you going to leave just because of this one person who's upset you? Well, then why were you there to begin with? People are going to upset you. People are going to upset you. You got to see, that's where I was weak at. I was so used to people being like, oh man, You're doing great. You're doing great. I was so used to the atmosphere from, people that were really nice. It kind of caught me off guard when somebody was ugly towards me, and I let a parasite crawl in there. That's what I'm. That's what I was trying to get across to you tonight. We've got to stay close to that flame. The closer you are to God, the less likely you are to get infected with parasites like some of the bitter people. I love y'all, and I appreciate every one of y'all, and I'm really glad y'all tuned in and watched. Y'all take care. I love every one of you. God bless y'all.